Hello, I'm Dylan, and welcome to my LearnCast. So, I am an animator, and I've been animating for about 7 years now, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to just talk a little bit about animation and explain some animation tips if you're ever interested in learning about it or even pursuing it as a hobby. So, one thing that I really stress a lot in animation is the fact that you don't need to have a ton of slides in your animation, or rather frames. Because the thing is, if you have a bunch of frames in between different movements that you want to portray, the animation will actually come out slower. What you have to do is you have to trust the mind. What the mind does is you have one frame in one position, and say you have the next frame in another position. If you play it at a certain speed, the mind will actually fill in the gaps for you. So you don't have to make every single position that the character is actually in. You can just quickly move something across the screen to show speed. You don't have to make like 50,000 frames for someone just throwing a ball across a field. There's a lot more freedom than a lot of people think in the beginning. And, this goes into making animation frame by frame. So there are a lot of animation softwares out there where you can make maybe a couple keyframes, which are basically just drawings of characters doing different distinct actions. And then from there, the computer usually goes in and makes the frames in between to create like a solid flowing animation. The thing is, they're very, very useful tools, especially if you're making long animations, but I recommend, just if you want to pursue animation as a hobby or even as a career, to do frame by frame animation, because it really shows you how to appreciate the art of making a drawing, and then from there just making small manipulations to create movement. So with that, that's definitely something to look into if you want to do things. There are many softwares online where you can just go and test it out. I mean, it's worth a shot, really. You never know. There are some people I've seen where they've never animated in their lives. They make a quick animation and it turns out very well. So I really encourage that you try it out sometime. This really brings me into overall, if you put all this work into an animation, I've mentioned frames, I've mentioned other animation tips regarding movement, but that is all for naught, really, if you don't have a good plot, if it doesn't attract in the user or the audience. Because, I mean, we look at all these movies in Hollywood that are very, very well done, great CGI, great casting and filmography, but not all of them do 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the fact of the matter is, it's really because plot. That's what it boils down to, and the same goes with animation. So before you make an animation, also consider, before you invest all this time and effort and make this excellent quality production, that it's something that the audience will enjoy, because that's a way to attract in an audience. It's a way to attract in even people invested in your business, invested in your channel. So make sure what you're making first is something people will be interested in before you go all out and try to make it the best you can. So those are just a few animation tips from me, and I hope you check it out. It's honestly a very, very fun hobby indeed. So thank you, and this has been the LearnCast on animation.